Hello, I want to just demonstrate to you using a pendulum, and I'll tell you what I did. I have two different ones here, one I purchased and one I made. When I'm trying to locate something, I generally use two different types. That's ones that were made out of two different materials, the points, that is. In the case of this well pump, I think I used three. And the reason being is because I have one that I purchased that has a magnet on it, and it see if I'm trying to maneuver it here. It's really used when they made them, they used them for health, but certain things are used. If you open up your mind and open up your connection with divine source, you'll find that an object will have many different uses that the person that created it did not realize. They may have been just creating it for a specific purpose, and that's why they did it, but it is good for several different things. This is a selenite point that I took a piece of a selenite wand and shaped it. Used a little water and sandpaper, and I shaped it to make that. I vibrate, and I relate very well with my vibratory frequency relates very well with selenite. So I always that's my go-to stone. Now the demonstration was my well pump was located here. Oddly enough, directly above, off to the side right here of this whole sprinkler contraption, I'll call it. And it was, when the water levels get low, the water tends to not go out as far, so you can either adjust the sprinkler head, but if it's in a drought, that only works for a little while. So what the young man suggested was that he relocates the well pump directly over the well, the spot where it's pulling the water up from the ground. That was suggested some years ago by a different person, so this time I said, okay. Besides, I didn't like the well pump being that close to the house. So I came out here about an hour or so before he came. It's up to you when you come out. I came out and I used the pendulum to show me where the well was, and I asked where the water was, and of course it kept coming in this area here. So I just used a little reasoning, and I saw the guy digging over there, but I did not know exactly where he located the well at. I just know the well pump was located here. So he ran a line from the well itself, the point where it comes up out the ground, and he ran a line over here to the sprinkler. So when I asked the pendulum where the water was, it kept coming in here. And I know I didn't see the guy digging in here. So I thought it was wrong, and that is the reason why I used a second one. When I used the second pendulum, I started asking more, I guess, specific or to the point questions. Where exactly is the well itself? The well is a long PVC pipe down into the ground with a funky point on the end. And so then it started directing me over in this direction. It went over here, and I couldn't locate it, and that was probably due to me getting anxious. You have to stay nice and calm and talk with the pendulum. So I stopped, put it down, and then I asked it again in more of a calmness, and that's when it directed me here. When it directed me here, I thought it was absolutely bonkers and wrong. Because again, I saw the guy drilling over here in this spot, in this area over here. And when I came back out, he was over in this area. I'd never seen him here in this spot. So I thought the pendulum was wrong. So I got another pendulum, and I came over here to this spot, and I asked it, and I stood directly over the spot and asked it, is this where the water is being drawn up from the ground to the sprinkler? And it gave me a yes signal, and I thought, okay. So I tried it with each one, and as I moved around the yard, it kept coming back in this direction. So I marked this spot. When the young man came, he dug here, and he didn't have to go very far because, as you can see, the pipes are not that deep underground. He found it, and then he relocated the well pump over here. So for the demonstration, I will try to show you how the pendulum actually does what it does. When you ask it, excuse me, you hold it in place and you ask it a question. You try to make sure it's hanging straight up and down. That's not quite straight up and down, and I don't have but two hangings. So when you ask it something, it will either move or it will start to lean. Like I wanted to show me where the well pump is. I already know where it is, but you see it's sort of leaning and pulling in that direction. And so what you would do then is follow that direction. You don't go too fast, and because sometimes you'll overshoot the spot. And as you can see, it's still leaning and sort of moving over there. So you keep moving with it. I know where the well pump is this time, so it's kind of like fair. But at the time I didn't know, and as you can see, it's swinging a whole lot more now, and that's what it does. This is exactly directly over the well pump. So that's what you want to do. In any case, what it does, you can find objects in the house also using the same method. You will ask it, you just hold it. This won't work so well because this is kind of long, and I have several stones on here for gaining answers. And that's the purpose of this particular set of stones. I make my pendulum stones, and I string them up, and I use stones for a specific purpose when I do them. I can do them for general reasons, and then I can do them for specific purposes. But this is, it's not, again, this one is not hanging straight, but you would ask it, where is the nuisance in the yard? There's a nuisance in my yard. And there it is. It's starting to move. And so now it wants to know which nuisance, because there's a couple of them. The biggest one. I want to know where the biggest nuisance is in the yard. And it is aggravating me beyond belief, but I have a purpose for it. I'm going to allow it to, a twofold purpose rather. I'm going to allow it to stay in the yard until winter, because right now you see it's starting to direct me. Because right now what it's doing is it is providing a space for the birds, shelter for the birds. And so it's directing me out this way. And you see how it is swinging. And of course, I'm trying to follow it and keep the camera on it without going over the time. The nuisance in my yard is, see now it's I was going this way, now it's having me to go, it's taking an indirect route to it. And now you see it going on that line, because now it wants me to follow that line. So I'll turn and follow that line. And that's what it does. You just follow it. And you take your time. And it's taking me along the border here, because the nuisance in the yard are the weeds. And although I have them in quite a few places, when I specified the nuisance that I'm going to allow to stay until winter. Now, here's the thing. There's two here. There's two nuisance here. And they provide cover for the birds. So now I have to decide which one I wanted to find. And so I will say the biggest nuisance in the yard. Where's the largest nuisance in the yard? Now you see how it's moving? You see the vines on the fence there? That is a nuisance. They really aggravate me. But you see it's moving in another direction. And that's because and if I go over, I'm not going to go over because there's moss on the tree and stuff. But it's really big, and it seems to be choking out the pine tree. These are rather abundant now here in Florida. As you can see, it's choking out the pine tree. But I decided to allow it to stay because there's a couple of birds nesting up there. I heard their babies about a month or so ago, so I won't take that down. But the vines are getting rather thick. Rather thick. And I do artwork, so they will provide a nice vine charcoal. All right, till next time. Thanks for joining in.